Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining today and welcome to our Let's Go Zero webinar on ACE, the new school waste regulations that are coming into effect as of April 1st this year. It's really great to have you all here. We will be recording the session so you can share the recording with your colleagues or anyone who couldn't make it in the next few days. Give me some time to send it around. We've got some brilliant speakers lined up for you today. We have Emma Howe, who is a specialist of waste and recycling at RAP. And we have Naomi Stackhouse, who is the acting associate assistant head teacher at Bishop's Vesey Grammar School. And unfortunately, our final speaker couldn't make it today from St. Bartholomew's, but I will be hopefully sharing a video, if it will work with me, about what they're doing around waste in their school also. So just to very quickly introduce myself, I'm Suzanne Gibbon, the Let's Go Zero Programme Coordinator. I run this webinar series and will be chairing questions throughout and at the end of the session also. So please do pop your questions that you might have in the Q&A box or in the chat box as well. I'll be monitoring it throughout the session. So just to introduce our campaign, Let's Go Zero. It's a national campaign for all schools, colleges and nurseries across the UK who have the intent and ambition to get to zero carbon, to become more sustainable within their school grounds and support their students and in their mental health and well-being by taking action for sustainability. We have over 5,300 educational settings now, part of the campaign, which is really brilliant. And leveraging your voice, we can work with the Department for Education, work with the government to allow. I think I dropped out there slightly, sorry, apologies, my internet just went. But to offer some more guidance and support in how to get your schools and educational settings more sustainable. We also do work collaboratively, so we work with a whole host of organisations, including RAP, who are part of the Let's Go Zero Coalition, who's speaking today, as alongside our other partners such as the National Education Nature Park, the Sustainability Support for Education and the Climate Ambassador Scheme that the Department for Education run. And through our collaborative working, we hope to inspire and share learning through our newsletters. We hope to signpost guidance and different opportunities such as competitions and webinars to you, a whole host of free resources, lesson plans, workshops, and also our brilliant climate action advisors who can offer you free one-to-one guidance and support for your educational setting, no matter how far along on the journey you are. Even if you're just starting out, that's brilliant. They can be there to really help you take that first step or even help you take that next step if you're a bit further along. So please do get in touch with us. Go onto our website at letsgozero.org. Have a look at what's on there. And do reach out for support because we're here to help you in any way possible. But without further ado, let's get on to why you're all here, which is about the new waste regulations. So I'd love to introduce you to Emma Howe, the specialist of waste and recycling at RAP. Over to you, Emma. Oh, you're on mute, Emma.
Sorry. Thanks, Suzanne, and hi everybody. I'm Emma Howe. I'm a specialist at RAP. I've been a waster for about 30 years. I've worked at local authorities. I've delivered services for households. I've been a consultant and I joined RAP in 2022. So if I share my slides, hopefully you can see that. And yes. I'll just put it on slides mode. Okay, so business of recycling. So my slide's over here. So if you're looking at me and I'm facing this way, that'll be why. So first of all, we've got the resources and waste strategy. We're going to look at the actual primary legislation that was published in 2018. So we've been through all these stages. and we're now like at the final stage. So this is where simpler recycling has basically come from. It's come from the resources and waste strategy and all the elements that have built up to basically today. Whoops, hang on, go back. So the bits of the resources and waste strategy that are of interest to us today are the things that, three things at the top. So we need to improve the recycling rates of the dry materials, reduce greenhouse gas emissions from landfill, and improve recycling rates from businesses and local authorities. So that's households and businesses. So simpler recycling. So what is it? So the resources and waste strategy requires that businesses and non-domestic premises, so that's educational settings, need to be so anybody who's got a business or a non-domestic premise with 10 or more full-time employees, simpler recycling applies to them from 31st of March this year. If your setting has got less than 10 full-time employees, so for an educational settings, that might well be sort of early years, single person operators, that kind of thing. We're looking at a derogation until 2027, so a bit more time to get things sorted. And households, simpler recycling kicks in for households 31st of March 2026. And you'll be pleased to know that plastic film packaging and plastic bags, we're all going to get a collection of that by the 31st of March 2027. So the core set of materials for simpler recycling is food, so that's prep and plate waste from catering and accommodations. You've got glass packaging, so that's bottles and jars, plastics, so it's pots, tubs and trays, plastic film packaging from 2027, like I said, and then cartons. So when we say cartons, we mean basically Tetra Pak. And then metals, so you've got steel, aluminium, and that includes things like beverage containers, food tins, trays, foil, tubes, that kind of thing. So when you say aluminium tubes, we're looking at things like tomato puree, things like that. And then paper and cardboard, but exceptions would be things like books, wallpaper, that kind of thing. So those are the core materials, and the idea is that local authorities collect those from householders, businesses arrange for those to be collected by their service providers. So it basically means that wherever you are, at home, work or play, you should be able to recycle the same set of materials. It shouldn't matter where you are in England. So the expectation is that these materials are separated into two different streams. So it says here 4 containers, but we've got residual waste, then we've got food waste. There is no de minimis in England. So in Wales, if you have 5 kilos or less of food waste, you don't have to arrange a collection. In England, it doesn't matter how much you generate, you need to arrange a collection. Paper and card and all other dry materials, they've got to be kept separate. So it's basically a twin stream collection service, paper and card in one recycling bin and plastic, metal and glass in the other recycling bin. If your waste collector would like to collect the materials all together in one bin, so a fully commingled collection, or maybe they would like to collect everything except for glass, then they need to undertake what's called a TEEP assessment, so a written assessment to explain why it is not technically, environmentally or economically practicable for the materials to be collected in the 2 separate streams of paper and card and containers. So you as workplaces can decide on the size and frequency of your collection, and you don't have to provide bins for service users, but if you do, you should look to make sure that they follow the simpler recycling kind of set of rules. Okay, so like I said, all this has come from the circular economy package. The target is to achieve 65% of municipal recycling. So municipal waste is waste that is in composition same as household waste. So we're looking to make sure that as a country we get to 65% recycling. the little bin at the bottom of the page there, you can see that households are at the bottom. They're the pinky colour. Without all the rest of the colours, we're not going to get to 65% recycling. And education there has got 2.9 million tonnes. So we need your input to get there. At the moment, businesses are not obliged to recycle, but they do. So about 40% of them do. But come the new regulations, they'll be obliged to recycle. There's about 2.2 million of them in England. Okay. So the new regulations will affect businesses differently. So for the small businesses, there'll be probably an additional cost. For medium-sized businesses, it's probably about break even. For a large business, say a large institution like a university, they're probably going to save money. So if we look at the overall comparison between different sectors and how much waste is generated, you can see that the largest amount of waste is generated by retail and wholesale, but they have a large amount of businesses. Whereas you guys, you have the next largest amount of waste, but there's quite comparatively a smaller amount of you. So we should be able to get more impact from you guys in terms of recycling. So we have produced, off the back of a request by DEFRA, a business of recycling website. So this is aimed at helping businesses to achieve these recycling aims, to be able to put into place suitable recycling services so that they can contribute to the 65%. So we've got a website. It has 5 steps to achieving that. And the focus is on guidance for waste that is household waste in nature. So if we're looking at, say, the education sector, it'll only be looking at the core materials, recycling those. So if you have waste from labs, it's not at all concerned with that. Okay. And in the business recycling website, we've got best practice, 5 key steps. We've got a waste calculator and we've got communications resources. Okay, so it was launched late 23. It's a dedicated hub with guidance, information, tools and resources suitable for a wide range of organisations. We started off with generic guidance. That was developed first and it was tested in early 2023 with 5 pilots. Okay, so after the testing phase, we were asked to develop sector-specific guidance for 7 sectors, one of which is education. Facilities management was added after that. So we've got the live sectors there. Coming soon is transport and storage. So if you go onto the website, scroll down a bit, you'll see the tiles and you'll see that education is there as well. Okay. So like I said, we've got 5 steps to the business of recycling guidance, and there they are there. So it basically takes you through the steps from the very beginning all the way to actually get your service set up and then reviewing it once it's in place. You can dip in and out, so you don't have to start at the very beginning and work your way through. You can start at any step you like, go backwards and forwards. Easy to navigate. We've also got resources and frequently asked questions. So the resources are branded with the business of recycling branding. We've got templates for waste audit. We've got waste action plans and example specifications, so you can specify the service you want with your contractor. We've got communications tools. We've got case studies peppered throughout the website. And like I say, we've got frequently asked questions broken into 3 different categories: legislation, practicalities and services. And I've put some useful links in there. I'll wrap up the presentation and send it on to Suzanne, and so you'll be able to access the links. And that's it.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Emma. That's really, really helpful. We have a few questions that have come through, if you're happy to take them now, before we move on to Naomi. One of the questions is, in terms of simply recycling rules, how much thought has gone into finding the use of collected materials and processing it? I think they're slightly worried about the Tetra Pak processing and recycling that.
Yeah, so that's not actually my thing. We have other people in my team who are working with MRF operators. So that's companies that take the material, separate it out. I understand DEFRA is working with industry, wider industry, to basically see that there is markets for these materials.
Yeah, brilliant, Emma. Thank you. I mean, I'm sure the thought process of how everything's going to be collected and processed has gone into place. And
Yeah,
once the regulation comes in, I'm sure there'll be a lot of sort of learning and adapting as that happens as well.
yeah.
We've got a second question that comes in, which is, are we expected to recycle glass waste from science, DT, and art departments?
So simple recycling, it's just looking at the sort of glass packaging that you would get from a household. So it's bottles and jars. So you'd be looking at thinking about a school, you'd be looking at any glass packaging that students brought in for their lunches, perhaps. Any glass packaging that canteens used in the preparations of foods, that kind of thing. So it's not test tubes or Winchester bottles, those sorts of things, not those kinds of things, no.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Emma. And I'll do one more question and then I'll ask Naomi to we'll hand over to Naomi for her presentation because hopefully she'll put your mind at ease a bit because it's real life examples how her school's taken waste and recycling into hand. Just trying to quickly read through them. So one question that's come in is how can we save money with this initiative? So I know you said it depends on the size of the business or the school.
Yeah.
But how is the money saving coming into effect there?
So I would advise, really, if you had a look at the Business of Recycling website, it will give you, I think it's stage 3 or stage 4. It's about finding a contractor. So get 3 quotes if you're a small organization. Do a procurement exercise if you're a larger organization. I think from memory that there are framework providers or education establishments. There are links in the Business of Recycling website that go to at least one framework provider. There might be 2. So yeah, in general, if you are separating materials out for recycling, you are providing the collector with material that is of greater value than if you stuck it all in together and had it disposed of. So talk to your providers and see, where savings can be made.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Emma. And it could also be that you spend less on your general waste collection because you are
Exactly.
recycling more. Yeah. Brilliant. I know I can see more questions coming in, and we will get to them at the end of the all the presentations. But for now, thank you so much, Emma. That was really, really helpful.
Okay.
Naomi, I would love to invite you to take the stage and share what you've been up to in your school.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so hopefully some of those questions I might be able to answer with what we've done. Maybe not all of them, but you'll get an idea for how we've tried to sort of implement this. So I'm Naomi. I'm Associate Assistant Head Teacher. I'm actually Sustainability Lead for Bishop Vesey's Grammar School. I'm also charging pupil premium as well. So To start with then, we sort of came up with a mission at BVGS. So our mission is on that slide there. Hopefully you can see that, that climate change and ecological destruction are some of the biggest challenges facing our time. At Bishop Vesey Grammar School, we're increasingly aware of environmental issues created by climate change and the need to create this more sustainable future. So along with that, we signed up to the Let's Go Zero pledge back in about April time last year. So we have actually been working with Let's Go Zero since about that time. They've been super useful with helping me create the climate action plan, and that's where our drive to become zero waste to landfill has generally essentially come from. So to start with, none of this would be possible if we didn't have our Bishop Vesey's Eco Committee, to be honest, because getting the help of students and staff has been absolutely crucial to implementing a lot of the things that we've done so far. So in terms of our Eco Committee, then each of our forms, we've got six forms per year group, and we go all the way through to 18. So each form has an eco-RIP, and we meet every other week to discuss, issues that we'd like to tackle within the school. And we set ourselves 2 projects for this year. So one was becoming a zero to waste landfill school. And the second one, which I'll talk briefly about, is then connecting with nature and creating a Vesey garden for students and staff. So at the end of the summer term last year, we do have a sustainability team as staff. And, one of the things that from the staff survey and students had identified that we weren't doing enough recycling across the school site. So basically, we took all the waste from one particular day. And then we basically, as you can see in the photos there, we emptied it all out onto the school car park onto huge pieces of tarpaulin. So that was really our starting point, really, just to get an idea of sort of the volumes that we were dealing with. So most of as you can see from the photos, most of that was generally packaging waste, generally generated from the canteen, with odd bits of plastics and things like that thrown in from the bins within the classroom. So as a result of that audit, we kind of got an idea of volumes that we were dealing with, and the idea that really at that current time we were only recycling paper and cardboard. So we really needed to do something about the packaging. So we set about then at the start of the year then moving towards then becoming a zero waste to landfill school. So we set ourselves basically that in December we would introduce a new waste system that would then align with our goal of achieving zero to waste landfill. Now at the current time we were with Birmingham City Council. So the first thing we did was sort of invite local waste providers onto the school site to get an idea of what they could offer that Birmingham City Council weren't. As a result of that, the company that we felt suited our needs best. We're a local based company, so we're based in Sutton Coldfield in the West Midlands. We're a company called Fortress. So we are lucky to have them as a West Mids based company, but they offer basically recycling, food and packaging, and they are a carbon neutral company, so nothing that they take off our school site will end up in landfill. So that basically aligned with our goals. So that was an easy switch to make. So based on that, we basically had a lead up time of about 3 months with Birmingham City Council. So we gave notice to Birmingham City Council, and that sort of gave us our sort of goal really for when we needed to implement the new waste system. So how did we manage to get there? So there was quite a quick time frame really, because coming back from school in September, and then obviously having this deadline of December, it was quite quick to get a turnaround really. So the first thing that I created was then a communication plan. So a communication plan which I put forward to the rest of SLT, and it had in there a detailed guide, what involvement would that require from parents, from governors, from our local stakeholders, and how we were actually going to implement the new waste system. So that was then shared with them. We then shared the vision with staff, students and members of the Eco Committee, and that was in briefings, form time, activities, you're using form tutors. I ran a week-long assemblies, so all students within the school then had the same message. Obviously, there was a little bit of a cost implication, which I know some of you have written in the chat box already, but we tried to essentially use what we'd got on the school site, and then worked around that, and then through a site audit then just ordered some new waste bins to go outside, and then I ordered the small food waste caddies then just for department basis. So we do implement a policy at our school where students are not permitted to bring food or drink into the school building, so that would help to eliminate food waste then being generated in classrooms. If they have to come into the school site at wet break or lunch, then we have essentially bin liners that are given out to the lunchtime supervisors. But so that has eliminated some of the food waste. It's just staff that are generating that within the school building. So what we did next was working with the Eco Committee. We created, printed and then put up new signage for the bins using the slogan right bin, right choice, and that's actually worked really well because it goes back to really making the right choice for the environment, and essentially doing the right thing. So that's been quite an easy thing to refer back to. We then actually made the switch to the new waste system 2 weeks before the contract ended with Birmingham City Council. So that gave us sort of a 2-week window to sort of have a look how it was working, make any changes, implement those changes, sort of review what was happening before Fortress then arrived on the school site, so that we could generally iron out any cross-contamination going into the bins and things like that. We've then sort of on a weekly basis review what's working, make some changes. If there is going to be a little bit of contamination into the wrong bin, but it's continued, I just take photos of it, share that with staff and students, and again we're relying on staff then and students giving that message of put your rubbish in the right bin essentially. And then we fully launched the new waste system in December. So essentially, this is what we've got. We already have the we have these blue paper recycling bags, so we still have those in all classrooms and in staff bases. So we continue to collect paper and cardboard separately, but essentially we have 2 bins. We have a packaging bin, which at the moment is commingled. Fortress haven't actually told us whether we need to separate that yet, but I will be checking with them whether they want any of that recycling separated. But at the moment, we call that our packaging bin. So those are in all our outside areas, in the canteen and along the corridors and inside of classrooms. Now, any type of packaging is acceptable, but no food, batteries, wood and glass. So we actually collect glass separately because it was felt that actually there's only a few departments around the school that are actually generating glass, like the glass jars, generally food, technology and art, so that is collected separately. Fortress, for us, it doesn't matter if it contains food residue. They are happy to take that packaging waste away, which helps us massively. And then we have collect food waste separately. So food waste in department bases, and then we have a food waste bin located next to a packaging bin, because again it was felt that you need 2 bins in each location around the school to make it easier. There is lots of signage around all sides of the bin, so students know that if it's got a yellow sticker and it's a black bin, it's packaging, and if it's a green bin and with a red sticker, it's food waste only. And that is consistent then across the school site. How did we manage to include staff and students? So I've used the Eco Committee and our Year 13 officer team. They have a rota, which they then sign up for a particular day, break or lunch duty, and then they are monitoring what goes in those bins in the outdoor area. Obviously, we continue to tell students you are encouraged to challenge other students. Staff are encouraged to challenge incorrect bin usage. I have been known, when I see it going in the wrong bin, to make students take it out and put it in the right bin, and that seems to get the message across, to be honest. Photographs again circulated on the school blog if there's any contamination in a particular area, and yeah, we're basically not afraid to call students out about it, but you are relying a lot on the monitoring of it by staff and students. Considering we implemented this in September and we're now, sorry, in December, and we're now in February, we haven't had anything come back from Fortress yet to say that the waste is heavily contaminated and therefore it's not working. And we've so far not had any penalties and fines. So I can only assume that what we're doing is generally working okay. There are a lot of barriers to this, and the main barrier that we've experienced, to be honest, is changing those student habits. For a lot of our students, what we're doing on our school site is the only time that they are separating their food waste from their packaging. Most children are putting that in the general waste bin at home. So this is a complete change to their habits. But obviously with the changes that are happening in households, we've already started that journey. So they'll already be in the habits of that when they at home. So we are hoping that that will help further with this. We know that it does take time to embed. But giving those constant reminders to students about making the right choice and educating them about why the right choice is important seems to be working for us. And it has been really useful to get students on board and for them to deliver the messages, not just me and form tutors on a daily basis, essentially. Just some other quick things that we've kind of been involved with, really. Like I said, as I'm sustainability leader, sort of try to get involved as much as possible. So the Learning Through Landscapes, they are fantastic. We actually won the local schools nature grant at the end of the summer term, so we actually got £500 worth of equipment. We had someone come in from Learning Through Landscapes to complete a site audit with us, and we actually got like a climate kit as well, which we can use to develop outdoor learning and fieldwork. So anybody who's not looked into them yet, I would heavily advise having a look at them and the grants that they offer. I think, Suzanne, you mentioned as well the National Education Nature Park. I love these. So I actually use a lot of this work with the Eco Committee as well. So the resources they have on there have helped sort of inform the work that I've been doing in the Eco Committee. So at the moment they're working on their visions for what they hope the Vesey Garden to be. So that's sort of our next project. Now we've sort of done waste and are monitoring it, we're now working on setting up this Vesey Garden. So I'm applying for as many funding opportunities as possible. So our climate action advisor is Kamari, and whenever she sends through funding opportunities, I'm just straight on it, looking at what help we can get, really. Oxfam are brilliant. Last year our students produced a Glastonbury banner that went up at the festival, raising awareness for climate justice. We've actually just received the Glastonbury banner back, actually, so it's going to go up somewhere within school as well. And I know that you Let's Go Zero work really well with mode shift stars. So we have a group of students in year 8 who then go through to year 9 who work on an active travel campaign with mode shift stars. So we were actually awarded the good travel plan with mode shift stars at the end of the summer term. So hopefully we'll either maintain that this year or go for the next level up. But that's a brilliant programme to be involved in, and again it's very student centred, and the campaign is based on this year ours is based on Park and Stride. Last year it was anti-idling. Something new for us this year, but I thought I'd tell you guys about it. Teach the Teacher. So it's through this SOS, Students Organising for Sustainability. We have 6 year 12 students this year who are going to take part in the Teach the Teacher programme. Basically they will lead a workshop to staff in school for about an hour, and they will essentially teach staff about climate education and climate justice. So that's new to us this year. Brilliant opportunity again to get your students involved in something. And finally, again, I know that Let's Go Zero, I noticed it at the start, the charity company Another Way, in the summer term, they are basically offering free workshops. So they will come into come into school and deliver free workshops. So we've got them coming in the summer term to deliver 6 40-minute free workshops on food for thought. They have a brilliant online community as well that students can join. And again, I found my experience really is putting as much onto the students and letting them take charge, really. If they're in charge of it, they're going to want to get involved. They're going to want to support the initiatives, and it's good for their development as well. So I hope that's been helpful.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Naomi. That's really brilliant. And it's so impressive to hear how much you've tackled your waste and ended up switching waste providers because you just felt that your old one wasn't hitting all the targets that you wanted them to hit. We've got a couple of questions that have come through. In terms of your school food waste, is kitchen food waste treated as separately to food waste in the outside bins, or is it all sort of put together?
Yeah, so at the moment, that's the next thing that I need to tackle, is that food waste generated from the kitchen is collected separately at the moment, only because it's an outside catering company who are providing the meals. So we wanted to roll it out within school first before then approaching the catering company to say, this is what we're doing in school. Now can we roll it out with so we just wanted to tackle it within, but it is something that we will sort. It's just we've sorted it out, for the rest of the school first, although we do collect though from the canteen. We do have the packaging and the food waste, so students at the end of lunch or when they finished will put their food in the correct waste, and that will go to Fortress, not included in the catering stuff.
Brilliant. And what would be your sort of main top tip when it comes to dealing with waste?
It's quite an open-ended question, that is. I don't know, in terms of collecting it, or
I mean, how would you, if someone, obviously there's lots of people on the call who've just found out about the new regulations coming in, what would be your sort of initial thought process of advising? What would you give as advice to someone on this call?
So I'd probably follow through with the general approach that we took, really, and that start with the audit to sort of gain an idea of volumes, really, and for what type of waste you've got being generated, really, because if you've got we've in our experience, we've got less obvious your food than we have the packaging, so that might then determine the number of bins and things like that you might need to purchase and how you're going to go about it. So I'd probably start with the audit, really. Get an idea of volumes, then collect a site audit for what you're currently doing on site, and then approach, I suppose, I worked very closely with the finance and operations manager throughout the whole of this, to look at costings and procurement and things like that. So you need to get on board with like your operations and finance manager, and then work together with them, because essentially any decisions need to be run through them, and and then looking at who are you going to switch providers, or is who you're currently working with, what's their vision come April, I guess. So that kind of would be my starting point.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Naomi. Emma, would you, following that question, what's your biggest sort of top tip or advice for people on the call?
I guess the top tip from WRAP would be to go and have a look at the Business of Recycling website. We've got waste audit on there along with a template and ideas about how to conduct one, either with the students or not with the students. So there is description of one exactly like you've done on your presentation, but also just like a quick look at the tops of the bins to see what's in them. So you could either get your waste collector to do an audit for you, or do it yourselves, or just have a quick look in the tops of the bins to see what things are basically in there that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah,
your recycling is going at the moment. So yeah, I suppose the top tip would be to go and have a look at the Business of Recycling website and check it all out.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Emma. And I suppose it would also be just to get in touch with your waste providers and see if this will be on their radar. They know it's coming. So to see what expectations they have of your educational setting, and also to see if they will be supplying any bins for you in order to separate all your materials out. So definitely get in touch with them. We've had one more question come through. Emma, I think you might be able to answer this.
Yeah.
Are there any penalties associated with contamination, or will this come in the future once the regulations are fully embedded?
So it's the responsibility of the waste producer. So it's the responsibility of you guys to arrange for your materials to be collected in the simpler recycling sort of regulation fashion. The only penalties that you will get if you've got the service all set up and people are putting the wrong things in the wrong bins, it'll be your waste collector that will come back to you and will say, excuse me, but your people are putting food waste in with the plastics, and so it'll be them that will come back to you. It won't be the government, the Environment Agency, or the council. No.
Brilliant, thank you, Emma. And I just to emphasize as well, Naomi's journey with the climate action advisors at Let's Go Zero, do get in touch with them. They're here to help and signpost various resources to you that are free, signpost funding opportunities. So although Naomi's focused a lot on the waste, but it's so great to hear all the other sustainability initiatives that you're doing in the school. And the funding opportunities you managed to secure as well. It's really, really brilliant. I hope you found this session useful. I hope you don't get completely scared off. We are here to support you. There's lots and lots of organisations here to support you. And so please do reach out for that help. Reach out to your waste providers and see how they can help as well. Just as we come to an end now, I know we're over time, just a really, really big thank you to Emma and Naomi for coming along to present. It's been super helpful, and Naomi's super inspirational with what your school is up to. So keep it up, definitely. Thanks so much, everybody.